Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. And I am speaking as a Shadow Minister for Finance. So, Rob, my supervisor,
Then
will
why
allow
don't
me.
you come in front? Why do you sit?
I sought permission to sit here.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I agree with your guidance and the plea from the Minister of Finance. What a responsible government does is to issue an interim statement reassuring the public, disclosing what will not prejudice the investigations. A responsible government does not stand up in Parliament and say, we are investigating, we will not tell you anything. Because by you saying you are going to investigate, you are even carrying out an audit, you have actually admitted that you don't know. That's why you are investigating, that's why you are auditing. You share with the public on whose behalf you transact business, government business, on an interim basis, what so far you know and you think is not a danger. But you don't plead that I am not going to say anything. You see, this matter. So, Madam Speaker, I thought that I am asking NRM government to be what they cannot, to be responsible, but I think they can learn at least to try. Then we will forgive you that at least you are trying.
Honourable members, government is doing whatever it takes to stop that whatever has happened, and there is not much that you can do. That is a human disaster. Honourable Musasisi.
Laying of papers, item 4, proposal to borrow up to units of account 13,500,000, equivalent to United States dollars 18.09 million.
Honourable members, can you...
From the African Development Fund to finance East Africa's Centers of Excellence for Skills and Tertiary Education in Biomedical Sciences Project, Phase 1, Uganda Cancer Institute, additional financing.
Honourable members, the money they are getting is for tertiary education, the Biomedical Science Project, Phase 1, the Uganda Cancer Institute, and that is the money they are proposing. We are not saying we are passing. We are not passing the money now. The report has to go to the committee. The committee will make its analysis whether we should borrow or not. Honourable members, Article 159(2) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda requires that when borrowing is done, there should be an approval of Parliament, and that is in pursuant to Section 36, Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015, and Rule 159(1) of the Rules of Procedure. I now invite the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to table a loan request.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Article 159 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Section 34 of the Public Finance Management Act, and pursuant to all the applicable rules of procedure of Parliament, I beg to lay a proposal to borrow up to units of account 13,500,000, an equivalent of United States dollars 18.09 million from the African Development Fund to finance East Africa's Centers of Excellence for Skills and Tertiary Education in the Biomedical Sciences Project Phase 1, Uganda Cancer Institute, additional financing. I beg to lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Please lay. And in furtherance to Rule 1552 of the Rules of Procedure, I refer the request to Committee of National Resources. I mean Natural Economy. Natural Economy, sorry. Lob?
Item 3,
Procedure?
statement
Yes,
by
Madam
the
Speaker.
Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, before my boss, the Lob, comes, and my good brother, Madam Speaker, I am an independent member, but you know where I kneel. Madam Speaker, yesterday, I appreciated Honorable Jimmy Akena for his good role that he's doing to promote Uganda through motorsports and as a leader of a political party. But I also at the same time submitted and said, we have other leaders of political parties who are using their positions not to bring out a good brand of Uganda. Madam Speaker, good enough, the LOP gave a submission concerning Bank of Uganda, and he said he got it from social media and laid the papers too. And also at the same time, Madam Speaker, I really seek your protection because I see I'm being harassed by my sister who is seated behind me. And that's domestic violence. You know, we have a week of activism. Madam Speaker, I therefore...
Honourable members, what is your procedure matter?
Madam Speaker, I don't know whether we are proceeding well at this time. That I watched the leaders of one of a political parties called NUP in Santiago, Chile, in North America, attending a conference with the theme of democracy and freedom, but resolution number 8, they resolved that LGBTQ, the homosexuality, must be defended. And moreover, Honorable Abed is here. He wrote a letter to the leadership of NUP asking them their stand about homosexuality. They did not repeat. I want the leader of opposition to look in the cameras and give the position of NUP concerning homosexuality in this country, to defend the law that we made here. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, the leader of opposition has not gone anywhere. He's been here with you in Parliament. But if you're saying there are people who have gone and they have attended any meeting in regards to whatever you have said, you know, even the Bible says we shall know them by their deeds. We shall know them. So, Honorable Lob, just present your paper.
Statement by the Leader of the Opposition on an oversight visit to Busoga sub-region.
I'll give you after Lob. Lob has been over-disturbed.
On the drastic fall of sugarcane prices.
Wait. Lob, I'll give you Hajat.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, when we were passing the anti-homosexuality bill, there is 2 members of Parliament who objected, and they are not members of the opposition which I lead. They were members of the NRM. I just thought I should throw that out there. But also, Right Honourable, you know, when we are entering the gate at Parliament, they normally check, I think, for guns and other artillery. I think as we especially enter the chambers, they need to check for maybe other substances in people's jackets and so on that motivate the way people speak. But Honourable Speaker, let me get to the statement.
There's a procedural matter.
Right Honorable Speaker,
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I want to thank you,
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
and I will proceed with the background.
There's
Right
a
Honorable
procedural matter.
Speaker.
There's a procedural matter, Lord.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the Honorable Leader of Opposition for giving way. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether we are proceeding right. First and foremost, Rule 72 tells us that the speech of the member should be relevant or must make reference to the subject matter under discussion. The Honorable, the Right Honorable Speaker allowed you to talk about Busoga. But now you're bringing in a different matter. So I don't know whether he's moving right or he's in the right direction. That's number one. Number two, Madam Speaker, I don't think it's also, I don't know whether it's also right for the Leader of Opposition to insinuate that members of Parliament speak under the influence of drugs. I think that is also something that we should expunge off the record of Parliament. I'm seeking your guidance, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Bear.
Right Honorable Speaker, I didn't say
Honorable
any of
wants
the
to-
allegations being made by my colleague, and I think they are filibustering to delay my statement, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg that you allow me proceed with the statement quickly.
Honorable Leader of Opposition, you said that we should be checking members when they are entering into the chambers for
anything.
For anything.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to understand what anything.
Right Honorable Speaker, the word anything has a very good meaning, and the meaning of anything is anything.
So you mean the member speaks out of anything?
I don't know, and that's why we need to, I guess, improve our security mechanisms here, Right Honorable Speaker. Even for your safety, I see there are changes here that were made, and maybe we need to up it up some more. But Right Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Bell, your size mate.
Right Honorable Speaker, whereas we debate with humor, there are some issues which are very important. Right Honorable Speaker, it is important that my good friend, the Leader of Opposition, withdraws that statement. It needs to be expunged because it goes on record that maybe some members of Parliament come with something or anything that impairs their submission, because it was very emphatic that we need to check anything that may derail people from speaking. Right Honorable Speaker, is it procedurally right that the Honorable Lope withdraws that statement and we expunge from the record of Parliament? I thank you.
Honorable Speaker, let me rephrase so that there is proper clarity. I would like to rephrase.
Honorable members, all of you, all members of Parliament come here in their best mind to be able to legislate for this country. That's what they. So we can't say anybody is, maybe something is activating anybody. Nobody comes with anything.
Honorable Speaker, with your permission, let me rephrase.
You go to your report. Go to your report.
Okay, but I wanted to make a correction. Honorable Abe said I'm her good friend. I am not her good friend, for the record. but she's a colleague. That's okay. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate you for making time for this brief statement. Honorable Abe used to be a good friend of mine when she was still part of the opposition. I see some colleagues are complaining. Honorable Speaker, I'll make this statement brief. I did travel to Busoga sub-region, specifically Jinja district, with some members of the shadow cabinet and some opposition members of parliament from Busoga sub-region to interact with sugarcane farmers. They've been reaching out to us with several complaints. So we decided to pay them a visit and interact with them. I'll skip a couple of things and go to the background. Busoga is one of Uganda's leading sugarcane growing regions, contributing significantly to the country's sugar production. The sugar industry is one of the fastest growing industries in our economy under the manufacturing sector, contributing over 300 billion shillings in taxes annually, according to the Ministry of Trade, employing over 100,000 Ugandans directly and many more indirectly. The industry also produces over 150 megawatts of electricity from bagasse, of which about 70 megawatts is supplied to the national grid. Busoga has the biggest number of sugarcane mills and a huge acreage of sugarcane, making use of its fertile soil around Lake Victoria and Lake Kyoga, coupled with good rains. However, the persistent poverty in Busoga continues to raise questions about whether cane cultivation is benefiting farmers. Uganda Bureau of Statistics 2020 figures show that Busoga has 1.2 million poor persons. This is 120, it could be different now, of which 400,000 are living in food poverty. Food poverty, often referred to as household food insecurity, can be triggered by a crisis in finance or personal circumstances. It encompasses both the affordability of food and its availability within local communities. The Economic Policy Research Center asserts that Eastern Uganda, particularly Busoga, has the largest sugarcane milling capacity, accounting for 35%, followed by Central Uganda at 27%, then Western Uganda at 26%, and Northern Uganda, the newest entrant in sugar milling, at 12%. Despite the importance of sugarcane, farmers face persistent challenges that threaten their income and well-being. These were some of our findings. 1, low cane prices. Farmers sell sugarcane to millers at extremely low prices, often below production costs. For instance, in 2023, last year, the price per ton was 98,000 Uganda shillings, a decline from previous figures, which would at times go to beyond 200,000 shillings. Even then, what the farmer eventually gets is so meager due to the other operational costs such as harvesting, cutting, loading, and so on. The other is delayed fulfillment of the presidential pledge to construct 2 sugar mills owned by farmers. In 2021, government pledged to construct 2 sugar factories in Busoga that very year, owned by the farmers as a way of empowering them. These factories were to be constructed in the districts of Buyende and Luka. 2021. However, to date, no construction has taken place. Rather, there has been a back and forth by Uganda Development Corporation, despite the release of more than 8 billion shillings for the purchase of land. The other finding was about delayed payments. Many millers delayed to make payments to farmers, leaving them cash-strapped. Farmers reported that at times, they would wait for up to 6 months for their payments. The other is recovery cost. The millers charge the sugarcane farmers that supply cane 9% per ton as recovery costs for the milling of the cane. The other finding, Right Honourable Speaker, was to do with VAT charge. These sugarcane farmers told us that they are charged 18% VAT on the sugarcane, which is not in tandem with the tax laws of Uganda. VAT is charged on finished products, not raw materials. That's why it is referred to as value-added tax. What is even more bothersome is that it is doubtful that the millers who collect this money eventually remit the same to Uganda Revenue Authority. The other was formula for pricing of sugar. Price of sugarcane is calculated based on only one byproduct, that is sugar, and yet there are many other byproducts from sugarcane. Some of the social and infrastructure issues that we discovered, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues. One was limited access to inputs. Farmers struggle to afford fertilizers, pesticides, and high-quality seedlings. The other was poor infrastructure. Poor roads delay transportation of harvested cane to mills, leading to losses in weight and quality. Non-provision of agricultural subsidies. The sugarcane farmers reported not to be receiving any agricultural inputs or subsidies from the government through NADS, like it is with other farmers.
inadequate farmer representation. The farmers report inadequate support from cooperatives or unions to advocate for better conditions. Honorable Speaker, we have crafted some recommendations for government. One is to do with pricing. Our economy was liberalized, meaning that forces of demand and supply will always be at play. However, this does not take away government's role to regulate and ensure that people are not ripped off, and specifically, in this case, to ensure that sugarcane farmers earn a fair income from their toil. 2, fast-tracking the fulfillment of the presidential pledge. Government through UDC should fast-track the purchase of the land that was identified in Luka district to pave way for construction of the promised sugar factory to be owned by the farmers, as a way of empowering them, as was promised. Timely payments. Ministry of Trade should pick interest in this matter of delayed payments to farmers, and perhaps even set a minimum period for payment of farmers for the supplied sugarcane. The other recommendations are to do with farmer empowerment. One is about strengthening cooperatives, and we're saying government should aim to support sugarcane farmers' cooperatives so as to negotiate better with millers, better terms with millers, and to access bulk purchases of inputs. Calibration of weigh bridges, which is another complaint that these farmers put to us. Uganda National Bureau of Standards should ensure that the weigh bridges are accurately calibrated and periodically monitored to address the issue of weigh bridges that are cheating farmers of the tonnage of sugarcane, because they complained of being cheated by these weigh bridges. Then formula for pricing. Pricing of sugarcane should be calculated based on at least 5 major byproducts of sugarcane, such as molasses, ethanol, spirits, bagasse, among others, as compared to the current status of the price being based on only one byproduct, which is sugar. Yet the other byproducts fetch a lot of revenue too. The last one, which is non-charge of VAT, the millers should stop deducting VAT from the farmers paid out to sugarcane farmers, from the money paid out to sugarcane farmers for the sugarcane supplied, because value has not been added yet to the sugarcane. They are raw materials. In conclusion, Right Honourable Speaker and members, sugarcane farming in Busoga, and indeed other parts of the country, because it's not only in Busoga that sugarcane is grown, this farming faces significant challenges that undermine its sustainability and profitability. Addressing these issues requires a multi-stakeholder approach, including government intervention, farmer empowerment, and private sector accountability. Implementing these recommendations will ensure a more resilient and profitable sugarcane industry. Honourable Speaker, my hope is that government will respond to these issues and address the concerns of sugarcane farmers, not just in Busoga, but other areas. It's Busoga which we visited, so that they can profit from their toil. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honorable Love, I request next time you bring this as a report, not a statement. A report where we shall ask for action taken of your findings. Because when you bring it like this, you don't have the latitude to ask for what action has government taken on this. So you need to, the next visit you bring it as a report.
Procedure.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The procedural issue I want to raise in regard to the LOPS report is that
He's
the LOPS statement
he's giving
Yes.
us information.
Yes.
It is
that
not for debate.
correct. A couple of months ago, you received a petition from the sugarcane producers, and that report petition, you directed it to the Committee of Trade, Industries and Tourism. And as I talk, I belong to that committee. We've been meeting with the stakeholders, and the report is actually coming to the conclusion. And the procedural issue that I wanted to raise is, perhaps could this statement be utilized by the committee so that once our report is done and presented on the floor, we can have a debate thereafter, because your committee, we are still on it and it is nearing completion.
Honourable members, nothing stops you from using this statement. It's a very good statement. So you can enrich your committee's report with the law statement. Yes, law.
Honourable Speaker, I do appreciate your guidance. This is a report from the oversight visit that we did carry out. And when we carry out these oversight visits, because our responsibility, my legal responsibility as leader of the opposition, is to keep the government in check. It's for the good, for government to do better, to work on the areas that we do point out as critical areas of concern. And now that you've, with your permission, been able to present this report on the floor, it would be good that government does respond to these issues. It's good for you. We are like a thermometer that tells you this is the reading of your temperature. Do something about it. So when we went to Busoga and interacted with sugarcane farmers, that's the reading of that thermometer. They have all these complaints, and it's important that as government you do address these concerns and give us feedback on the same. Thank you for your guidance. Right.
And that's what I was saying. Next time you bring it under Rule 35, so that we designate a debate for it and we seek for actions taken under each issue that has been raised. Next item.
Item 3, statement by Minister on the commemoration of the 16 Days of Activism campaign against gender-based violence.
Honourable members, 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence is an international campaign that commenced on 25th November, which is the International Day for Elimination of Violence against women and men, and it ends on the 10th December, which is a Human Rights Day. This commemoration is important for awareness and accountability for steps that have been taken to eliminate the gender-based violence. As you are aware, gender-based violence remains a big challenge in society, for which we require to concentrate our efforts in eliminating this gender-based violence. And as I said before, the boy child is equally endangered. It's not all about the girl child. Even the boy child is endangered. All we need to do is to eliminate the gender-based violence. I now invite the Minister to present her report, the Minister of Labour, Gender, Labour and Social Development.
Thank you so much for providing space, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, I wish to notify you that the purpose of this statement is to brief Parliament on the commemoration of the 16 Days of Activism Campaign Against Gender-Based Violence 2024. The 16 Days of Activism Campaign Against Gender-Based Violence is a global campaign that was inaugurated in 1991, spearheaded by the Women's Global Leadership Institute, a program that is in Rutgers University in New Jersey, USA, which trains women in leadership based on global good and practice. The campaign has since grown globally and is marked with a wide range of activities organized by government and stakeholders. This year, 2024, marks the 33rd anniversary of the 16 Days of Activism campaign against gender-based violence. In 2008, another initiative, Unite, End Violence Against Women by 2030, was launched in the United Nations to reinforce 16 days of activism campaign. The Unite campaign calls for global action to increase awareness, galvanize advocacy efforts, and share knowledge and innovative measures to address gender-based violence. The inaugural 16 days of activism campaign in Uganda started in 2008 under the leadership of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and has since been adopted as an annual campaign to galvanize efforts by state and non-state actors to commit to eliminate gender-based violence. The campaign contributes to the effort to deliver on the national, regional, and national commitments to gender equity and women's empowerment, which include the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goal, specifically Goal 5 on gender equality, Uganda Vision 2040, and the Third National Development Plan 2020-2025, among others. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the impact so far is that government has initiated policies and a lot of legal frameworks to prevent and respond to gender-based violence. And among them, Act 2023, among others. We have also amended laws to address gaps in addressing gender-based violence. And over the years, they include the Employment Amendment Act 2023, Succession Amendment Act 2023, the Land Act, among others. There are also relevant policies that have been developed as key national policies to eliminate gender-based violence, specifically the Gender-Based Violence Act 2016. As a result, there is increased awareness on women's rights and response to gender-based violence. There is increased reporting, which is evidenced in the Police of Annual Crime Report, and we want to state that what used to be a taboo for men to report violence against them by women, they have now started responding and they are reporting. The deliberate efforts to widen platforms for reporting by government and stakeholders has yielded great results. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a Sauti Free Line 116. On this helpline, 2 days ago we're there, they are able to record 1,500 cases per day. Those are the ones which they are able to record, but they receive about other 4,500 cases that remain pending because we have limited staff to receive and record these cases on that helpline. The commitment of government and partners to ensure continued access to integrated services by survivors through the current 21 functional shelters has ensured much needed immediate services such as temporary accommodation, psychosocial support, legal aid, medical examination and treatment, resettlement, and integration to communities. Continuous involvement and dialogue with religious and cultural leaders is ongoing as gatekeepers of social cultural norms that perpetuate violence against women and girls. It has been instrumental in making public pronouncements which castigate violence while calling for peaceful coexistence and respect for human rights. The cultural institutions under the umbrella of the Council for Traditional Leaders of Africa, COTLA, Uganda chapter, has made several commitments to end violence against women and girls. We have strengthened coordination for addressing gender-based violence from national to local level. The structure, including the high-level GBV referral groups at the national level, which has a commitment at the district, which has committees at the district level. Other local structures and initiatives to address gender-based violence include the Women and Youth Peace Mediators, who provide mediation in communities, the male role models and male action groups, survivors, support groups, parasocial workers, and paralegal, who have been at the community foot soldiers in offering support and referral pathway to gender-based violence survivors. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, this year's global theme is towards 30 years of the Beijing Platform for Action, Unite to End Violence Against Women and Girls. Uganda has adopted this global theme as a national theme. The campaigns call for all duty bearers, state and non-state actors around the world to end violence against women and girls, and prioritizes the review of the 30 years of implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action and the political declaration focusing on commitment, accountability, and resourcing. These include implementation of comprehensive strategies in partnership with women's rights organizations, allocating necessary budgets, and actively reporting on progress to end impunity and prevent violence against women and girls. Particular urgencies regarding to most extreme manifestation as femicide is escalating worldwide and is beginning to crop within our systems. Femicide is the deliberate killing of women because of their gender. Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, when we were tallying the biggest cause of violence, there was a point to alcohol and drug abuse this year, 2024. And the second one, we were evaluating the performance of PDM. And many of the people who are reporting violence are talking about the men's need to control the PDM money which has been received by women. That was also another pointer. As a global community approach, the 30 years anniversary review of the implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action and following 2023 SDG Summit calls for accelerated progress towards achieving the 2030 Agenda Violence Against Women and Girls. It remains alarmingly prevalent across private and public space and across all its forms. Despite the efforts to demand justice and accountability and some notable progress in preventing and responding to violence against women and girls, significant challenges persist and they need to be addressed. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is coordinating the organization of the national launch, which was held on the 25th of November 2024 at Hotel Africana in Kampala, and a number of activities have also been planned by stakeholders, including government MDAs, development partners, civil society organizations, private sector, religious and traditional and cultural leaders throughout the 16 days across the country. The 16 days of activism campaign will therefore have already commenced, and they started on the International Day of Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against Women and Girls, and this was flagged off in various activities up to the district level, and we shall progress with the national theme to end. It will end on the 10th of December 2024. This is just a battle time. The war continues. The fight continues throughout the year. Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I wish to inform you that the objective of the campaign is to call for action for all stakeholders to accelerate action to implement laws and policies to prevent and respond to violence against women and girls with adequate resources in accordance with the international and regional convention and commitments. It's also to strengthen justice sector, ensure meaningful access to gender-responsive justice to women's and marginalized groups, enabling them to seek remedies without fear of negative consequences, and to raise awareness about the magnitude of violence against women and girls, and calling for zero tolerance of the vice across society and prevent violence through transforming harmful social norms. Right, Honorable Speaker, we note that there are also some men who are undergoing violence, but the magnitude of the problem is bigger